All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you right there, just like me here. Okay, David Lee Roth explains his Eddie Van Halen tribute song. I'm not sure this was intended to be an Eddie tribute song when it was written, but now that's what it's being heralded as. David Lee Roth spoke to Richard Beinstock of Variety about his recent decision to launch the Roth Project, not to be confused with the Roth Podcast or the Roth Show or the David Lee Roth tattoo removal cream. Dave is a master at being an entrepreneur. He is a great marketing person. Anyway, the Roth Project is a new online comic narrated by the legendary Van Halen singer with music from John 5 on guitar and bass, the amazing Greg Bissonette on drums. I mean, one thing about Dave is he knows how to pick a band. And then he's got Brett Tuggle on keyboards, who is also a beast, Louis Conti on percussion. So the 17-chapter comic also includes 5 songs that Roth co-wrote with John 5 and recorded several years ago. This is interesting. So the song, I think, was recorded well before, I guess, the severity of what we learned about how, sick Eddie Van Halen was. I think this was recorded a number of years ago. There, some would say 2015, 2014. And they didn't specifically give a date here, but I don't know if you click on this, it might say when it was recorded. No, it doesn't really. Just gives this weird sort of computer drivel here. I don't know. This is just weird. These are all the songs. It's funny that they provided a link to this. This is a Van Halen forum. So, in any event, it was recorded at the Henson Recording Studios in Hollywood. Giddy Up, Somewhere Over the Rainbow Bar and Grill, Alligator Pants, Low Res Sunset, and Manda Bela. All right, my intention was to release the rest of the songs Drake style, single by single, Roth said. That affords a great focus on the individualized tracks, most of which get lost in the shuffle when you release an album. Doesn't matter, he says, if you're Paul McCartney or Metallica. You put out 12, 14 songs and were just engineered as primates to go, I like this one and that one. Now what's for dinner? Roth also confirmed that Somewhere Over the Rainbow Bar and Grill, which was made available as a standalone single in late October, serves as something of a tribute to legendary Van Halen guitarist Eddie Van Halen and their shared story. Now, again, this is an important sentence. It's not saying it serves as something of a. That is very vague, and at least there's some wiggle room there. Look, he's not saying it's a complete tribute song. I don't think it is a tribute song to Eddie. I think it was just a look back. It was a nostalgic look back at the early days of Van Halen. He says, I don't usually write autobiographically, but this was a specific effort to replicate a time and a place. Pointing to the lyric about the smell of fresh sawdust on the floor of the venues that hosted Van Halen gigs in the band's early days, Roth explained how the song relates to his late bandmate. He does a nice little segue here. There are 2 kinds of burials in show business. One's very quiet and behind the scenes, nobody attends, and then there's a showbiz approach where you have a solemn ceremony and it's followed by a reception where everybody gets up and tells stories. They can be off color, they can be tear jerkers, they can be of any nature. When my dad passed, the reception was at a Mexican restaurant around the corner. I think David Lee Roth's father was a dentist or a doctor, Dr. Roth, right? So the reception was at a Mexican restaurant. Okay, everybody was this typical Roth kind of thing. everybody was eating and drinking, and then the speeches become more colorful. That's because people are drinking. Sometimes that's the most heartfelt, heartbreaking, best material ever. So I thought if that occurred for Ed, which it did not, and everybody was going to get up and tell a story, when it got to my turn, I would start with the smell of fresh sawdust on the floor and go from there. He continued, that's the beginning of the story, at least for me, because that was everywhere we played, the smell of fresh sawdust on the floor, and we were famous for breaking drinking records, still are, and solo too. So Dave plans on keeping that drinking legacy alive as a solo artist. Here's my take on this. It's fine. It's fine. You know, I mean, it's not a big deal, but this wasn't originally written. It couldn't have been originally written as a tribute. He does say, at least in the article, it alludes to something of a tribute to Ed. This isn't like he wrote a song about this amazing guitarist he met as a kid and started a band, you know, like Bad Company's Shooting Star or something. Has nothing to do with that. It's more just a fond look back. That's all it is. Fondly looking back at a great moment in time, as we all are kind of doing in 2020. So anything with nostalgia in it will obviously be a hit. Radio has completely ignored this song. It sounds like something that Dave would have recorded in 92, 91. Tune the guitars down a bit. John 5 is fantastic. This is a great band. It's a great song. It deserves some airplay. If we had rock stations like we used to, this would be in the top 10 right now after getting released back in, October. So, I don't know. I lament the radio industry these days. Yes, Spotify, I know, just grab yourself a playlist and have a great time, but that collective experience is gone. You know, imagine driving down the road hearing this. You'd think to yourself, wow, that's cool. Dave's reminiscing about his early days with Van Halen. That might have helped a few people sort of deal with Eddie's passing. So, as much as I'm kind of critiquing this on its merits of being a tribute song, I'm also liking the track so much that kind of doesn't really matter. So, anyway, it's a wash. David Lee Roth, just being Dave. All right, I'm Dave too, and my last name is not too, but you know what I'm saying. And you can subscribe to this channel, hit the bell for notifications on new videos. Don't forget about Patreon. It appears that my revenue stream, and I complain about this all the time, I don't understand. And I'm more concerned about just general viewership than Patreon. But if you can afford $1 a month, that's really helpful. I did put out a mixtape over on Patreon that has become very popular. But you got to be a patron to be able to enjoy that and get permission to hear that. So just a little perk. I may be doing more of them. It's popular. People are digging it. So who knows? It could be a regular, reoccurring thing over there. More music for you to listen to. It's like comfort food music. So in any event, a lot of patrons apparently like it. Okay, I am way over on this video. I'll be back soon, so stay tuned.